our top Week 12 defensive streamers here for you. Which ones do you need to? We've been nailing these out of the park all year. It's one of the best segments we've ended up having. Shout out to my guy Keegs. He's done a great job writing them up on rotostreetjournal.com. But I love to cover some of it and give a few new takes. But last time out, we really nailed it. Let's dive into who I think could be phenomenal here in Week 12. First is Denver to me, 33% rostered. They now have gotten 17 fantasy points against Pat Mahomes. It flew Mahomes, I get it, but still, the Chiefs. 8 points against the Bills, 9 points against the Vikings. All have been bottom half matchups for defenses to have to face, and they have Denver really just seemed to come out firing. This defense is playing with new gusto, and now they have 12 turnovers across those 3 games. And again, against good offenses, ball control offenses, they now get DTR. The DTR-led Browns here, 5th most points allowed. 2 fantasy defenses are this hapless Browns. Maybe it's Joe Flacco instead. Who knows who'll be the actual quarterback here? But the Broncos, were doing this, again, 8 or more points in all 3 of their last games, 17 against Mahomes. They can do that against those teams. Imagine what they can do against Dorian Thompson-Robinson here. I think he is in a phenomenal spot. I really do also, and dropped in a lot of leagues, was New Orleans. They were on bye. It makes sense. A lot of teams can't hold 2 defenses most of the time until your fantasy playoffs arrive. So I get it. And now they get Desmond Ridder, one of the most turnover-prone quarterbacks in the league. That's why Atlanta has given up the 12th most points to fantasy defenses. I get it, New Orleans, they haven't been great. In fact, they've given up over 20 points to their opponents in 5 of the last 7, but Atlanta has not scored over 20 points in over half of their last games as well, and certainly not with Desmond Ridder leading the charge. And when the matchup is good for New Orleans, is as mediocre as they've been as a defense, they really do prey on the right prime matchups. 13 fantasy points against Chicago with forcing 5 turnovers, 2 sacks. 2 weeks before that, 24 fantasy points against the Patriots. They completely shut them out. They had a defensive touchdown, another 3 turnovers, 2 sacks. I don't think it will be quite that level, but a 13 to 15 point day against the turnover machine of Desmond Ridder, the pathetic, incompetent offense of the Falcons. Very, very much in play here for your New Orleans Saints defense. And the last 2 guys I want to shout out at defense are actually facing each other this week. So which one should we prioritize between the Giants and the Pats? We have the Giants, who have given up the most points to fantasy defenses. The Pats have given up the 2nd most points to fantasy defenses. When an unmovable object meets an unstoppable force, what happens here? A big, absolute heaping turd is what we're going to get. But ultimately, which one should you go after if they're both out there? I actually side with, as a Pats fan, it kind of pains me to say it, the New York Giants. They are excellent at generating pressure. If that's one thing Wink Martindale does, it's blitz, and it's blitz more. And some teams, they can bomb them and they can destroy them, like Dak Prescott, who's great against the blitz. But no quarterback is worse against the blitz than Mac Jones. And this pathetic offensive line is giving up a ton of sacks. Top 5 in terms of sacks allowed. 14 turnovers, tied for 7th in the league. Dead last in time of possession. Bottom 2 in terms of total points scored. That's only gone down. So they lost Kendrick Bourne. Last time we saw this Patriots team, they gave up 16 points against Indianapolis. So I actually do prefer the Giants here, who are fresh off 23 fantasy points right now. 4 sacks, 6 turnovers, and a touchdown against Washington last week. That's a insane total. I just don't think the Pats have that type of juice. Now they're facing a Giants team, again, giving up the most points to defenses, right around 14 points per game, most sacks in the league allowed. And the Pats, they can generate a pass rush here. I am a little worried, though. DeVito did just light it up. You get the Pats off a bye. They're probably rested. I think this is something you'd hope that Bill Belichick can game plan for Tommy DeVito, but you never know. This is a team that seems to be quitting, seems to be tanking, and the Giants, even though they're similarly in tank mode and a horrible situation, for whatever reason, they seem to be playing with a little bit more fire here. So if I had to pick one of these 2, I think both of them are viable. If I'm picking one or the other, I would go Giants just slightly ahead of the Pats as a streaming option. That wraps up our top Week 12 defensive streamers. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.